And
Yeah.
we're hopping in right away. So both players are happy with France versus Germany, and we'll see where they spawn. All
All
right,
right, so
go
go
for it.
ahead.
Ah,
First off, we have the TPs spawning, trade posts spawning behind the players. So that's really key to note first off.
yeah,
Keep
exactly.
in
I
mind,
think that
very
this
even. Go ahead.
okay this this particular TP spawn, I think both players like to get a stagecoach in H2. That's typically what we've seen from these civs, but maybe players will choose to play it a little differently. We do have a coin start, so neither player is going to be building a trading post right away. Going to be trying to pick up those yaks, maybe look for those nice wood treasures around the map.
We have France going to coin and wood a little bit, so it's looking like he's going to do something with that.
Yeah, I expect him to lay down an early market, which he can do as
Yeah,
France on. Well,
and
I
Germany
guess
already has.
yeah, yeah. I almost thought that you started with the market because Germany got their market up so fast, but that's Florida. That's a different map. But
Right.
yeah, just
Got a
looking
wood
at
treasure coming in
uh,
from Boss.
40 wood. That's going to be a
40
nice
wood.
pickup for him. Explorers just kind of shooting each other. Boss is going to pick up a couple more yaks, which is nice. And this is sort of the big treasure that I imagine that he wants. And the native scout is close
Hmm.
to scouting that 90 wood. That could be a possible treasure for contention later on.
Yeah. There's also right above it an 85 wood treasure. So
Oh
there's
wow.
got two really good wood treasures there. Another 85 wood. It looks like the wood, the treasures definitely spawned a little bit in favor of Boss.
Yeah, that's that's a really good map spawn, not gonna lie. The nice thing is that France does have the native scout, so he can sort of I mean he's got the potential to see where these wood treasures spawn, but I don't think that he's found them just yet. He'll turn on Fog of War. I think that Germany is kind of the only player that's scouted most of these. And he's going to happily pick up 90 wood uncontested. Meanwhile, France is working on 65 coin. It's not exactly what he wants, but still 65 resources, so nothing to scoff at.
Yeah, he also has the market up, so he can utilize the possibly buying 100 wood or something if he really needs to, depending on how much coin he has.
Yeah, that's true. It can maybe speed up um, a trading post in transition or just help him get steel traps a little earlier. One thing
Yeah.
I do want to point out is that when the only boss was taking that treasure, he didn't, I guess, kite it as well as he could have. So he lost
Hmm.
over half of his hit points on 2 tiger treasures. So could make getting another high tier wood treasure pretty difficult for him.
Yeah, 178 HP. He's gonna have to definitely use. He could probably pick up a tiger treasure. Two tigers, 85 wood if he scouts it, but you definitely have to um, creep that well.
Right, yeah, he's got to be really on top of that. And boss is actually, he chose to eat a couple of his yaks in age 1 so he can get a 13. Sorry, Flontier decided to eat a couple yaks so he can age up with 13 CDB rather than kind of more standard 14. So maybe he wants to perhaps be a little aggressive, or he just sort of likes the tempo that that gives him. We'll have to see what he decides to do with it. This is a matchup that we've seen, I think, in a lot of tournaments. It's sort of a classic one, but there are perhaps a variety of ways to play it.
Yeah, we don't have 8 crossbow coming in for, or we don't have it in. Oh, we do have it in. Okay, never mind. Never mind. But
Yeah,
both players have 8 crossbow.
yeah,
Um, yeah.
pretty.
Got several skirmisher cards coming in or available for France. Guess he's expecting a lot of war wagons, possibly skirmishers from Germany.
Yeah, I like to see that. I guess 1v1 decks typically have a lot of unit shipments in them because the fight for map control is so important.
Yeah.
And the maps are generally smaller than team. And one of the interesting things actually that I know Wiki Classic has said in a Twitch chat before is that Royal Mint and Refrigeration, these were probably 2 cards you would see in almost every single 1v1 deck, but I feel like that they're maybe falling out of favor just because they don't give you any sort of immediate advantage. And oftentimes you can get really scrappy, drawn out H3 games where, you know, that extra 7 skirms or something like that really decides the match before any sort of late game mills and plantations are built.
Yeah, a lot of 1v1 games just end so much quicker than other games that it takes, you have to have refrigeration for a while for it to pay off. So
Yeah, exactly. And kind of a side stable, like a kind of hidden forward stable
yeah,
for Flontier.
that's unexpected. Usually you're not gaining very much map control with that.
Yeah,
But
you aren't. But I mean, the position, you know, tells me that he doesn't really want it scouted, and because he aids with the villager early, he maybe wants to apply a lot of SAR pressure to the German player, especially because the SARs do a lot better now versus Uhlans in H2. That break
yeah,
even
his
point.
first shipment in H2 is 3 hussars,
Oh
so
wow. Yeah,
yeah,
so this is really
that's
all
unusual.
in, and I think he's going to
Yeah.
pick up a villager for it. Should at least.
Yeah, he should. There we go.
Gonna get it. And the stable for the German players, you know, kind of went up a little bit later than it could have. So this,
His first shipment in H2 was 3 settler wagons, so not 700 wood or something like that.
right, he's gonna have to be very careful with space defense. Gonna make sure he gets out 5 Uhlans at the minimum here, and potentially think about having to research Minutemen just to hold this pressure.
Yeah, the French's first calf pop was 5 hussars, so he's got quite a bit of pressure right now. We'll see how much how well it can translate.
Yeah, for sure.
For a lead.
And I mean, Boss is just trying to escape, but in doing so, he sort of gets out of the range of Minutemen. And these Hussars are just going to trade really well with these Uhlans.
Yeah.
Yeah, 5 are still alive. You know, one of them's pretty low HP, but the other pretty high HP, and Boss is definitely on his back. But another 3 reinforcing Hussars come out for the French player.
Yeah, 4 hussars have gone down for France, and 6 Uhlans, 1 villager for Boss, so it's definitely advantage France. He's keeping him idle the whole lot too.
Yeah, and that idle time is very key. I think Boss wants to maybe eat some of these yaks just to make up for the resources he's lost. The nice thing about, I mean, these settler wagons are so
the
tanky.
hussars with him.
Yeah, that's kind of clever. As long as he doesn't lose the settler wagon, 3 Dobbs come out.
Pop. Yeah.
That's a nice.
Didn't really snare them beforehand. It didn't have units to do so with, but
yeah. So Flontier is sort of getting out of there just fine. And
yeah,
you know, I don't know. Like, you really don't want to be sending 3 Dobbs, but you also don't really want to send 3 Huss as France. So it's hard to say who's come out ahead here. I think just because of all the idle time, Flontier's in a pretty good spot.
Flontier's 4th card is 700 wood. That's not very common from what I've understood.
No, that's almost always being sent, you know, first or second. So he's really gone for an interesting choice here of strategies. And he's got this native scout really well placed here. He sees where all these doppelgangers are.
Got Cav coming in from 2 sides, that's smart, but not able to pick up any villagers yet. Maybe 1, but the Dops are right there.
Yeah, it's close, but I think he's going to get, you know, an Ulan and just even more idle time. And he has added in a Rax too, so I think he might just be trying to go must-cuss here.
We still have Germany without a barracks. He finally did end up sending 700 wood. It's his 4th card too.
Yeah,
the pressure from France has allowed or forced Germany to respond without going very eco-heavy too, with it not sending 700 wood till their 4th card. So it's paid off in that respect.
Yeah, I think so as well. And then I guess the question is whether, you know, what is France's follow-up going to be? He's not actually spending his resources right now. He's stacking a lot of food, and so I think he's got maybe 700 coin on the way, and maybe just wants to get an age up from here. But you know, that does give a little bit of time for the only boss. If he recognizes where this forward base is, he can maybe apply some pressure.
It looks like boss is just going to age 3 right now.
Yeah, he's just chosen to age up.
He gathered it all himself without 700 coin or any other shipment giving him resources to do so. He's building a barracks, a couple houses, in on his way up.
Yeah, that's kind of nice for him.
Yeah.
Either player, just building the one TP. This has been a pretty aggressive game, so Stagecoach not really an
Oh, the
option.
Dobson on the cav.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
okay. One goes down, but that's still HP off of the other ones too.
that's a really nice pickup. And he's got some low HP bills, but none that are so low HP that they're just gonna die to one hit. So
Yeah,
um,
to be honest, Boss has done really well not losing bills, right?
yeah,
Caster's Curse, he loses a solid wagon.
yeah, no kidding.
France has
It's
lost 10 Cav, 10 Hussar, and Germany's only lost 10 Ulans. So, um, the losses, military losses, have been pretty similar until that settler wagon went down. It's been pretty minimal damage actually, outside of vital villagers.
Yeah, if only he could
Oh,
just save on to that one extra settler wagon, I think his defense would have been really nice.
yeah.
Um, maybe could have split the dops up just a bit, but I think he knows where all these units are coming from, and he's going to try to, I don't know, get a little bit of siege damage down or something. Meanwhile, Flontier, I mean, he went for this really aggressive opening, but now he's adding in a second trading post. I think he's going to just sort of back this up with economy now.
Yeah, looks like we're seeing skirms and ranged cav from both players. See, the France Flontier is it has a batch of skirmishers about to pop. Let's see if he's able to do that well onto the dots, take care of them well.
Yeah, we'll see. This kind of 3 Warback shipments going to come out in time, and a couple Ulans.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, picking off this forward base, this is just nice tempo for Boss, because Flontier hasn't sent, I don't think he's sending 1001. We'll have to see. But he could be pretty wood starved in the near future. Yeah, five Dragoons come out for the French player.
Dops are good if you can slow down the enemy, snare them, but without that, they just fall like flies.
Yeah, a couple of them one of them got picked off, and the other 2 are low HP. They do have a lot of siege damage, though, if they can siege without getting hit. But otherwise, yeah, these guys are kind of useless at the moment. It looks like he's just kind of forgotten about them. At this moment, it's just pop space for the German players. So
fair enough. Yeah. He did take down the stable, though. That's something.
Yeah, that is.
Germany and France both sent their ranged cavalry shipments, so 5 goons and 3 war wagons. We'll see. It's continuing to look like it's just going to be skirmishers and ranged cavalry for both players.
Yeah, I think so as well. I kind of expect to see 8 skirm next for the German player. At the moment, Flontier's got a bit of an edge with the skirmisher battles. Who's going to be pushing off the red player.
Yeah, Flontier also has 2 trade posts, and having killed a settler wagon and a villager, he has the better economy at the moment. Germany has a higher military population, but you have to also take into account that it's Germany with the Ulans and the war wagons being high pop.
Right. At the moment, it definitely seems like Flontier's in a pretty good spot. But Germany can just, send those high value shipments and swing a fight pretty hard. So looks like around now is also the time when both players are starting to extend on the map in order to gather resources.
Yep. We see Germany already starting on his 3rd mine, and Flontier also, Boss and Flontier.
Yeah, definitely. I would really like to see Stagecoach, honestly, for the trading post up here in the north.
Yeah, for sure.
I think he's definitely in a spot where he can get away with it, and the supplemental wood income, I think, will just help his mass throughout the game. And I wonder if there are any, sometimes these large treasures are worth being picked up in the middle of the game,
5% cav speed. I don't know if they're going to be raiding a lot, and I'm not sure that I'd value it too much if the fights are going to revolve around skirmishers. But it is something for sure. If you can pick it up for free, even just the XP from the treasure guardians can be worth it.
Yeah, I mean, if you're in a position to just pick it up for free, why not? But neither player's army is sort of over there. They're both sort of posturing around where their exposed villagers are, and this Nat Scout just continues to be super helpful for Flontier.
For sure, that native scout is amazing.
Yeah.
Something really key to do if you're playing against a civilization that has a native scout, or if you notice that they build a treasure, is to constantly use your explorer around your armies, trying to find that. Just having the extra vision, knowing exactly where your enemy is all the time is amazing.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And that's sort of unfortunate because the German explorer died under the French TC, I think pretty early on in the game. So
Yeah.
unless you want to pay 100 coin, that's a 200 coin
Yeah.
swing, maybe not worth it. But
Right. We got the falcon that's coming up from Flontier.
yeah, this is going to be a pretty nice power spike for him. It seems like he's got enough Dragoons to maybe deal with these
Yeah.
Ulans. There are a lot of Ulans though, man. So, oh, neither player. It
Got
looks.
23 Ulans from Germany.
Yeah, it looks like it's going to
But
click in now, but this is really nice zoning by Flontier.
yeah, it is.
However, there are Ulans on top of Skirms, as I say that, but a lot of Dragoons are still alive in the back doing DPS. War Wagons trying to pick off the Falconets, but getting lots of good shots off on the Skirmishers meanwhile.
Yeah. The Minutemen and some CDB came out to try to help with the fight, but it's looking pretty close. I think Flontier, if that Falconet can go down, he might have the advantage here. It's really close.
Yeah, the Falconet goes down. I really like the inclusion of the CDB just to tank a bit. I think it really added a lot with Minutemen. That's a really nice hold.
Just on the left. Yeah, that was a really nice hold. So at this point, I would say Flontier is significantly in the lead. Has a stronger economy and stronger military. He did use both of his falconets, the falconet shipment for that. So he doesn't have that again.
Yeah,
so I don't know how it's gonna go, but it was a really good engagement for him.
Yeah, I agree. Military's looking pretty even with the populations. Again, Germany is just down 5 villagers, kind of as a result from that early pressure. So as this game continues to go on, I think also the composition favors France too. If he can get those cuirassiers, and I mean, look at this. He shipped 3 and made 5. So
yeah. Cuirassiers completely demolish Ulans. It's not even close.
Yeah.
So,
and I mean, it's even hard for war wagons if they don't have cap combats. They can't really kite. It's a really strong unit.
Yeah. Yeah.
And with this
We do have Germany running out of mines, so he's going forward to the last mine. Having no mines could definitely hurt him.
Yeah, he's trying to look for a mine mid-map, but unfortunately...
Yeah, he can't see anything at the moment.
Yeah. One didn't spawn there. I don't know if it spawns there every game, but he's going to have to click. Yeah, he's going to click right.
Oh, he's running in with all his villagers right on the army.
Oh, wait, Flontier didn't...
He noticed.
Okay,
Flontier noticed.
He's going back now. But he smells blood, too, up ahead.
Yeah.
Jaegers come in now, so it's going to be really tight micro for the only boss to keep these Jaegers alive and not have the cuirassiers do too much damage. And these villagers are still just walking. Oh my gosh.
He still has 9 war wagons out. All the war villagers going down, though. That's surely going to be a good game. I would guess.
Yeah, I think
Unless they can save them. Oh.
I think he wants one more big fight. He's going to try to hang on.
They're just idled right now.
He's going to try to hang on for the time being. Just now getting back to work, yeah. And
it was actually pretty important, I think, for the first forward base by France to go down on the right. I don't know if that was intended to watch over that mine, but if it was, that was really good awareness or map preparedness for the map.
Yeah, that's true. I think it's a lot of games versus Germany can kind of just come down to when they run out of mines. And like you're saying that, we have a lot of villagers popping out over here. And also French CDB. So I think we're going to see...
we have both of them going for the same mine at the moment.
Oh gosh, and the war wagons are backing out, but if they had just been there, they could have killed CDB. And even more chaos now. We have villagers popping on the same mine now.
All villagers from both sides going to the same mine.
What's going on here?
I do give the CDB a bit of an advantage though, because they are that you can fight with them a lot easier.
Yeah,
a lot better.
Yeah, they tank a lot. That's for sure.
This is a crazy game.
Yeah. Unfortunately, though, I mean, a lot of German villagers going down, probably more than the CDBs, and I think France still has an edge on the military composition here. Maybe. Gosh.
It's really, really close. The Jaegers count for a lot though, so I don't know. He's got enough war wagons to protect them though.
Yeah, and
Neither of them are focusing villagers too much, which is a little bit surprising.
yeah, for sure. And neither player committing either with their military. So, I mean, after all is kind of said and done, the economy populations are still pretty similar to how they were before. So,
Yeah.
interesting.
Neither player has sent 1k wood. I wonder if they if they were to send 1k wood and like maybe get a dock down a few fishing boats on whales. I wonder if that would make much of an impact.
Yeah, I think it could, but right now I think we're just going to be vying for map control.
Yeah.
I think any unit you can get right now would be super beneficial, or maybe even Cap Combat as the next card for Flontier. He's got a shipment
Yeah.
stacked, but he hasn't sent it quite yet.
Military units at this point is almost more valuable than villagers because your villagers aren't going to be able to mine much
Right.
at the moment.
Yeah, exactly. And so I think either of these players, I might even just stop trading villagers for the next couple minutes
Yeah.
until the deciding fight happens. It looks like Flontier is
Oh, wait.
finally going to commit.
Yeah, it's a lot of war. This could be close. There's some villagers coming in from both sides, German and French villagers. This is the craziest game ever.
Yeah, the Cuirassiers are getting pretty good, pretty good attack
He's
on the
microing really
skirmishers.
hard. Both players are, but it's hard to say. I think France is coming out on this, but it's really close.
It is close.
Maybe not.
I think Cuirassiers are just such a good unit. There's only one left alive now.
Yeah.
What am I watching?
I don't know.
There's still four Jaegers alive. And they're
Although,
still.
okay, we have more
gathering.
Cuirassiers
Okay.
coming.
Yeah.
So they should be able to clean that up.
All right. Only one war wagon left alive, and it falls down. The Cuirassiers are going to clean up all these villagers and the Jaegers, and then after
And
that,
the
it
gold
should-
mine in the middle, we've just got some friendly gathering going on.
Yeah. It's so nice to see, both players, such good friends. They just share resources together. You know.
He's got a little ceasefire going on.
Yeah, 8 Ulan. So I mean, this could be a power spike. A lot of
Yeah,
Cuirassiers here.
I think the Gendarmes could definitely deal with that though. It's really close, but with the skirms behind CDB, I like the choice to move the settle wagons in the villagers end to try to block for the Gendarmes, the Courageers. That I think that was really key, honestly.
Yeah, and okay, France was going back for just a second, but he's trying to get back in. It's really important to get these fighting cavalry, making sure you're not targeting any villagers. And
Yeah,
these Cuirassiers
the Courageers were constantly moving around. They only about half the time were they actually efficient during that fight. So some excellent micro there from Boss for that.
Yeah, at the end of the day, though, it's just such a strong unit, I guess.
Yeah, we also had the Gendarmes starting up the treasure, and they're fighting the villagers.
Oh my gosh, I didn't see that. Oh boy. 1,000 coin comes in for the French player, but doesn't. Okay, he's got one villager there working on it.
At the end of this, we still have 11 military population from red, 7 from blue, and they're still super close on eco too.
It's so close. What the heck?
Oh, this is great.
Oh gosh, and like
they're now gathering ons together.
These 5 Ulans are trained, but 4 Dragoons. It's just so scrappy. What the heck?
Yeah, it's perfect.
The thing is, if you had like perfect, like infinite micro right now, you could even start microing like villagers on top of villagers to kill the low HP ones.
Yeah,
and stuff.
for sure. Which Germany's starting to do. But I'm not sure I'd want to get into a fight with French villagers personally.
No, I don't think I would either. And well, the German player is completely out of mines, so
yeah. There's 3,000 coin left on, or 3,000, coin left on the gold mine in the middle, but that's it. We'll see if they start switching to maybe some crossbow and pikes or something. Germany does.
Yeah, I think it's an option. He also still has 1,000 coin he can send.
Yeah, that's definitely something you'd want to send soon.
But I mean, after all the dust is settled, I think just France ultimately gains control of this last remaining coin mine on the map, and I think that's going to be exactly what he needs to win. He's up a few villas and he's up a few military now, and so I think it's just going to snowball from here.
Yeah, I agree. It's something really interesting to note. France, because they're France, got the blunderbuss upgrade for its villagers. I wonder if it would have made any of an impact if Germany had gotten the same.
Yeah, that's a good question. Something like, yeah. I mean, I think it's kind of underrated when you're in these scrappy games. So
In a game
maybe,
like this, most of
yeah,
the time I probably wouldn't, but in a game like this, it could definitely make an impact.
definitely.
By the time the dust settled, the military population and the economic recalculated economic population was pretty much the same. It's also interesting that Germany has not gone for the second trade post. That could perhaps be a mistake. Okay, it calls it. So that was a good game. That was one of the scrappiest games I've seen recently. Really good.
Yeah, that's. I gotta hand it to both players for that one. That was a fun one to watch, and an excellent start to the series. If that's anything like the games we're going to see to come.
Yeah, that was excellent.
So
So let's look. I'm gonna look at some of the post game stats real quick.
yeah,
The combat XP was within 150 between the two. Military population almost exactly the same. They were neck and neck like the whole way through. Um, Villager population definitely gives the advantage to Germany, but without the second trade post, that was kind of that was pretty key.
yeah. Plus, there's a lot of idle time. If we look at all resources gathered, even though Germany was ahead in fills, looks like France really came out ahead.
Yeah. And then if we look at let's see where I was just looking at it. The resources gathered by France was just ahead the whole time. Like you said, mostly due to the idling of the villagers. Um,
Yeah,
yeah. All
but
right, I'm gonna get out and get ready for the next game. We'll see. It'll be coming up really shortly, guys. What you guys think of that game? Pretty crazy, huh?
yeah. I kind of want to read the chat after that. I mean,
Yeah,
jeez Louise.
definitely. Flontier has a game up open. Oh, let me rejoin. Carp would be proud. Yeah. Yeah, not sending 1,000 coin could have definitely been a mistake when you're already out of coin like that. Um, pretty interesting. No cav combat either.
Come to think of it, I don't know if either player shipped Cav combat that entire game.
No, neither player did. Yeah, neither player did.
Interesting.
That was. I'm really glad I started off casting that game. It was really fun.
Yeah, I have to agree. That's great. Okay, so next map is Iowa. Um, Neither player can play the civ that they just played with. So okay, Flontier is gonna lock Spain. Interesting.
Spain, interesting choice. Spain's decently they're stronger than they are on the regular patch for any of the viewers that are not super familiar with the ESOC patch. Um, but I don't know, it's not a civ that is picked very often. Maybe Flontier does. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, I'm not too familiar with Flontier's main civs, but I mean, like you said, Spain is definitely stronger. But we still don't see it picked too much. The most recent balance changes is they reduce the amount of XP needed for shipments, so it kind of speeds them up. But typically, you just see them on like high TP maps, like 4 or 5 TP maps. Iowa only has 3, but
Yeah, something I've seen in some of the other tournament games is they will go for advanced trade post and they'll try to take as many as possible as both the trade post, the trade route, and then also the natives as all the native ones. And players that do that generally seem to win it from what I've seen. There's also some really good native upgrades, and a lot of times I've seen players getting the what's it called, the native lore card, I think, the card that yeah, native lore. It makes all the upgrades from the different trade posts cost no coin.
oh, that's
Um,
interesting.
yeah, you can send it H2, and if you get all the upgrades, and there's several, all the useful upgrades, I should say,
Hmm.
it saves you over 1,000 coin, but you don't usually get all of them at the same time. So it's an interesting card in H2.
Yeah. I mean,
Um,
it's I think especially applicable on this map because you do have the Lakota. I believe you have the Lakota native, so you can get the
y-
research the dog soldier big button, right?
yeah, I believe it's Axe, I think, or no, it is Dog Soldier. My bad. Yeah, it's Dog Soldier, but it is also you can get the Bison. The 12 Bison is really good. Additionally, what's the other one? I forget what the other. Let me see. Um, Inca is the other one. So Inca has some really good upgrades too.
Yeah, yeah. Inca, of course, you get the faster infantry speed. Um,
Hmm.
I mean, if you're making Rodaleros, that's pretty fun, right?
Yeah.
So,
Some fast rods could be really interesting here.
uh,
So we have Spain versus France, Flontier on Spain, and Baus on France. We'll see how it goes down.
yeah, we're heading into game number 2. This is a play all 5 series. It's part of the ESOC Premier League Season 2, I guess you could say, the second installment. And this is week 1, so sort of all the matches kind of undergoing this past week. And we even have a couple teams, the Mandarin Duck Squad and the Nilla Ninjas, which haven't even played any of their team games yet. So while the standings are sort of shaping up, we'll have to see what it all looks like after this game. But okay, we do have Flontier in the color blue in the north of the map playing Spain, and the only boss in the color red in the south of the map playing France.
The map resources seem to be very fair. All the mines kind of mirroring each other. There's an additional mine on the right-hand side in the middle, but the map resources seem to be pretty fair. One, the original starting for Bison, and then one additional hunt by by each TC. No players have. I mean, you have the 2 hunts on either side of each player, but outside of that, you don't really have very many hunts close to each other, so that could be interesting to watch. Close to their starting 2 seeds.
Yeah, that's one of the ways that this map spawns is that, like you said, you get a couple, maybe 3 hunts around your town center, and then pretty much the rest of the hunts are all along this TP line. So if Spain wants to go for something like advanced trading post, it could be beneficial to securing these resources sort of mid to late game. But looks like the French player is going to build a trading post right away. It was a wood start, and so if Spain wants to get control of this TP line, it's not going to be near as good as if he had all 3 uncontested.
Yeah, we have 135 XP treasure coming in for Flontier on the right. I could flare it for you, but that's really good treasure early on. Should be sending his shipment ASAP.
Yeah, I think he's sending his first one already, and he's like 3/4 of the way up for his second, which is
Yeah.
insane. For especially for Spain because they get those faster shipments that they can send. So
Yeah, XP means and XP treasures mean even more for Spain.
yeah, exactly. So at the moment, both players picking up treasures. Looks like Boss is going to pick up 90 food, and this is sort of a really nice treasure that I don't know if he scouted right away. Oh, but he did with his native scout, 95 wood. I think you might want to come back to that eventually.
Yeah. We got 75 food picked up by Flontiers over on the right here. It's looking pretty good. Spain, just no, just he didn't even build a TP at the start, so he's gathered only food. France did go for a trade post.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't really know why Spain didn't build a trading post right away. I think if Spain wants to go ATP, they generally save that wood for their next trading post, but he's not sending the shipment now. So
Yeah.
I don't know if he decided not to go for ATP after he saw France build it, or if he just is trying to go for a really fast H2. But I feel like he could have done something with that wood, especially with 30 coin in base. Maybe.
Yeah, I think it would have been good to gather just a bit more wood and send ATP and get another trade post down. But he's building a trade post now, but he didn't use ATP for it.
Yeah, it's just choosing to go the standard route. And pulling his villagers off of wood. Oh, it looks like he's left one on there, but I think that might be a misclick because...
He's so close to getting this pass of the trade voice, but he just misses
Oh,
it. That could have done a lot if he had actually sent ATP for that.
yeah.
Um,
And yeah, unfortunately missing that pass. And we do have this third TP socket. I don't know if either player wants it right away. The French player might be happy with just taking one trading post out of this 3 TP line. And yeah, I mean, Flontier is not building a market. He's just gathering food. I think he's just going to go for a standard tower FF.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think it might be an FF considering he's trying to save his shipments and whatnot, which can be really good for Spain on the ESOC patch. For those of you that aren't aware, you have a shipment in Age 3 called Spanish Gold, and you send it, you get 400 coin with it, and then every single card you send after that, you get an additional 400 coin. So it's
Yeah,
pretty, it can pay off really fast. 2.5 shipments later, you've paid for that itself completely, and then after that point, you keep on getting free gold.
it's a really cool card, and one of the changes that I like the most, I think, from EP. And a lot of players even send it if they try to go for revolt strategies as well. And that's one of the things too. You're talking about advanced trading posts earlier, and even building it on these native settlements, which give an XP trickle on EP now. And there is a player of the name Robrat, who I just want to mention briefly, who has sort of come back from inactivity after a while. And pretty much every game he plays Spain, sends ATP, builds as many trading posts as he can, and just revolts. And he's beaten a lot of good players like Mido and Conqueror and all sorts of other players. So it can be quite strong.
Something else that's really important to notice or be aware of with advanced trade posts. Advanced trade posts, from what I understand, is a little bit weaker than the RE patch, the regular patch, or regular game, whatever. But it does give you a lot more map vision, map awareness too. So these mines that are very far from your starting TCs, once you have to get to your third mine, it's a lot safer if you have advanced trade posts around the map.
Yeah, that's true. The line of sight buff can be pretty big in a lot of matchups.
Yeah.
So it looks like Boss is built to stable in base. He's got 5 Hussars queued and currently pausing the game. Bit laggy, so let's see if we can do anything about that. Just close out as many applications as I can.
Yeah, I've got everything closed for myself. And I don't usually have a problem with lag, but we'll see. See what happens.
Yeah, we'll see. I'm just looking at my stream. I don't think I'm dropping any frames, so we'll try it out
I'm
and
not
see
either.
what they say. I know all of us are NA except for I think Flontier is French. So
I do not know, but yeah, with 3 of us are in A at least.
yeah.
We do have 5 cap coming out from Boss. See if he can pick up some villagers with that. Got a barracks coming out for Spain. He's already halfway aged to age 3. He has opted to send 3 villagers, 700 coins, 700 wood, and then 5 villagers. So he isn't saving shipments for age 3, which is an interesting choice, an unusual choice, I would say.
Yeah, this is, I guess, one of the ways that Spain has differed a lot from RE Patch is that this has almost become the standard Spain FF. It's just like a little greedier. Like you said, you don't save your shipments, but he already does have a shipment ready for the 3rd age if he so wants to send it. So,
you are Spain, so you do get XP quicker.
Yeah. So I mean, he's almost an entire shipment ahead of the French player at the moment.
He is definitely opting for a little bit of a longer game, sending 5 villagers as opposed to saving it for a military shipment in age 3.
Right. The follow up is just a lot better, but you do lose a little bit of tempo. But
yeah, which it doesn't look like it's a high tempo game now so that's probably a good choice.
Yeah, I mean, I quite like it, and I also like that he's chosen to train some rods out of his barracks and transition.
Mhm.
So he's going to fend off this cap pressure pretty easy. And meanwhile, he's raiding with some Hussars in the French player's base
Yeah.
himself. No units lost, or no villagers, I guess I should say.
Yeah. Yeah, I really like rods, especially in Age 2. They are a unit that is fast and can deal with all cavalry. So they're exceptional at defending raids and even giving yourself the mobile advantage. That is to say um, you can control the map a lot easier if you have the mobile advantage. You have the faster moving army and you have the bigger, faster, more powerful, faster moving army.
Yeah, and the nice thing about them is, well, they're a little cheaper than dragoons, and you also don't have to worry about kiting them. So, like you said, defending raids is super nice because it's sort of a unit that you don't have to pay the utmost attention to. You can sort of let it do its own thing. And
Yeah, they cost 65 food, 35 coins, so they're pretty comparable to muskets.
yeah,
But they have 6 speed, which is really good.
yeah, that is pretty good. Compared to a SARS,
Uh,
it's just 6.75.
yeah, yeah. And if they snare them, then they're good to go. We do have Flontier losing his 2 cavalry hussars on the left. So we have Flontier losing a total of 4 hussars now, to just 1 of boss.
Yeah, that's a nice pickup for him. It's going to allow him to apply a little bit more pressure. Flontier is playing this pretty greedy, actually. So, as you mentioned, that Spanish gold card was actually his first H3 shipment, and now he sent 1,000 wood. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I guess the sort of greedy style of Spain is definitely possible with that Spanish gold shipment, and also with unction later on in the game if he chooses to send it so his missionaries boost his unit attacks. But for the time being, I think he's going to be on the back foot while the French player masses up. He's currently got twice the military population as the Spanish player.
I wonder if it would have been better to have delayed the 5 villager shipment until after the Spanish gold had arrived. Obviously, he didn't know exactly how the game would go, if the opponent was going to put pressure or not, but that could have been better for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Perhaps. I
They've
mean,
got a lot
it's a
of
variation.
skirmishers. Go ahead. Sorry.
I was just reading the Discord thing, so but yeah, we have a bit of a skirmish here, lots of skirmishers, just a few Rodaleros, and a lot of dragoons after the French player. But I mean, for the time being, the Spanish player's resources are all sort of focused around this one area, so he doesn't really have to worry about gathering outside of his space. So he can just sort of sit here with skirm, rod,
A little bit
and
of
be safe.
rods, yeah. One thing that's really interesting is seeing rods versus goons. Rods are much cheaper, but if you can surround or like split up your rods and try to get on top of those goons, the dragoons can fall pretty hard to them because the rods actually do a lot of damage versus them.
Yeah, you have to be really cognizant when you are making dragoons versus Rodaleros. And
Yeah.
2 Falcons come out. So again, I mean, this native scout is so
Hmm.
influential in the
We
game.
last time we saw Flontier use the natives. Oh, and it goes down.
Yeah,
Caster's curse.
yeah, Caster's curse. No kidding.
But I was about to say, last time we saw Flontier using the native scout really well, and this time we saw Boss using it well until then.
Until then,
He used it well, but
yeah.
Flontier had his Explorer close by.
Yep.
We have Cav coming in from Boss trying to get a raid. Looks like he might be able to pick up one, at least, maybe.
Yeah, I think at
I
least
think so. Yeah,
there,
one, and he gets out.
and he runs off.
The Falconets are up. We'll see. If the Falconets stay here, then they're gonna have a big advantage. I'm not sure the skirmish should have engaged that without having a plan for the Falconets.
Yeah, he lost a lot of skirms, but he traded them off for 1 villager on this coin mine, so not terrible. But if we look at recalculated eco population, the French player is actually up, about 8 equivalent villagers. So Spain does have
Yeah,
that.
significantly ahead.
I mean, Spain has that Spanish gold advantage working for him, but I don't think it's certainly not equivalent to 8 villagers. So
Yeah. Yeah, I mean that's just France for you. Your villagers train in, what is it, 29 seconds, I believe, as opposed to the normal 25. But your villagers are 1.25 times stronger. They gather that much faster. So which is more than like 29 is more than 1.25 times more than 25. So that's a big reason why the French economy is so potent.
Yeah, it's got that sort of, I guess, scaling factor. It's kind of like a passive scaling factor, but also,
Yeah.
um, I mean, just idle time. Like, I don't know. It just seems to be a very efficient economy, and that's one of France's strengths is that they can sort of do everything and they can do it all pretty well. And I think that's what we're seeing. Just standard France is maybe the better decision here to play than like slow Spain, for example. But
Yeah, we have falconets out from both sides. We have a lot of rods out from Flontier. We'll see how that works. Skirmishers can do a lot versus rods, especially if they outmass them. So it looks like Boss has a lot of skirmishers. So I don't know that the rods are going to be too effective here.
especially because I'm looking at Flontier's deck and he doesn't have hand infantry combat in the third age, which I think if you're planning to make this many Rodaleros is probably a good thing to include in your deck.
Yeah, for sure. It was an interesting choice picking Spain first also. I could see Spain being a good counter per se, like you're going into matchup and you know what you're going to be making and whatnot. But when you're picking it blind like this, France, I think, is generally considered a much stronger civ. We have the rods going in on the falconets and the skirms. Not focusing the falconets very heavily.
Yeah, those Falcons stayed alive maybe a little bit longer than they could, but still he's going to pick up both and have two of the Falconets alive
The
for himself.
Lancers coming in too. Oh, is backing off a little bit.
And
With
that
the
fight,
Falconets still up, he
yeah, that
still
fight
has
went
the advantage.
extremely well for the Spanish player. There's just
Yeah,
nothing to really sort of block these rods, and
yeah.
the Dragoons can't come in contact with them. They're easily able to pick off the Falcons, and with the two remaining, he's now just got the range advantage for sure. And just like that, he's up 15 military population when I think he was down slightly before that fight.
I think the rods came in very fast too. I think they might have been pulled in a little bit to make them close the distance that much faster.
Yeah,
With a melee unit, you have to. You obviously aren't effective unless you are in melee range. So if you can get into melee range a lot faster, it's really good.
definitely. And Flontier is continuing to pick off a couple of free kills here. And France is starting to gather all outside the map. I mean, that's a lot of villagers for sure. But it looks like Flontier is just going to try to slow push this main base. With these Falconets still alive, he is a little bit less mobile than the French player.
Yeah, I wonder if some of the lag came into an effect. It seems to be a little bit laggy, and if you're the one having to react to the opponent, then lag can, yeah, it looks like they're pausing a little bit.
Yeah, this is
It's
unfortunate.
not me. I don't have frames dropping. Is unfortunate. What I was gonna say earlier is the rods with the falconets are an excellent combination. Rods kind of counter all stable type units, and falconets kind of counter all infantry type units. So
Yeah.
um,
I'm just
yeah.
trying to figure out what we do about this lag. Perhaps we can. I mean, maybe we might have to go to just one caster.
We could do that. I mean, I'm happy to give up my co-casting.
I'm going to.
Are you ready?
All right. Okay.
Yes.
Maybe we can just fix this. Okay. We'll finish this game, and then after that we'll kind of decide what to do. But
I could out and see if it makes it any better.
I think maybe just hang on until now, and then we'll just do a lag test maybe after this game.
Okay.
Sometimes when
we can do that.
when a caster outs, it'll out of sync the game. I don't know why, but sometimes. So try not to risk it. But yeah, Flontier is in a pretty commanding spot here. So
Yeah, he has a much bigger military. Rods, for one pop, I wouldn't say they're necessarily pop efficient, so that does have to be taken into account. But the falconets are extremely pop efficient. The economies are very, very close at this point, which actually bodes a bad sign for France, honestly.
Yeah, because it looks like Flontier was able to overcome that 8 villager gap, and now dead
Yeah.
even on the numbers at 40 each.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
France is trying to build a lot of cuirassiers here, shipping 3, building 6 or 7, trying to go for that
I'm not sure that's the best choice. Rods do okay versus them. Gendarmes or cuirassiers in age 3 are not super powerful yet. It's age 4 when you get the percentage boost on their already high base stats when they become very powerful.
Yeah, and especially without cav combat. So I think these
Yeah, exactly.
Rodoleros are going to perform pretty well.
I think skirmishers and maybe even maybe you could. Well, I'm not sure I'd go cannons versus this army. It's a very melee focused army. Spain, when played well, is really strong because lancers and rods together, and especially if you have cannons, can you counter almost any unit. You have the ability to counter almost any unit the opponent is going to put out.
Yeah, the composition is really strong here for Spain, I feel. And the villagers are just everywhere on the map, though. I mean, Boss is eating one of Flontier's mines on his own side of the map, but we still have just the concentration of militaries just focused around these 2 falconets and the slow push from the Spanish player.
Yeah, it's an interesting choice to mine that mine there. We have a fight coming in, bunch of gendarmes coming in on the skirmishers. That is a bad engagement from or bad fight from Flontier. The micro, he lost several skirms pretty much for free.
Yeah, but now the Rodoleros are getting on, and not a lot of skirmishers are remaining. The falconets are doing a nice job getting on the skirmishers, and
I think the biggest thing is that cannons in the back, which are now firing on the houses,
yeah.
but the cannons in the back can just do so much, and Boss had no way to deal with him.
Yeah, he's really got to pack these cannons up and get them moving, to be honest. But I think he's just got
Yeah.
so much more stuff, and yeah, that's GG.
That was a good game. I like seeing that. I am a little bit partial to rods just because of how unique of a unit they are. They're an age 2 unit that can counter pretty much all the age 2 units that come out. Yeah.
For sure.
All right, so looking to the next game, do you want to go over some of the post-game stats a little bit?
Yeah, I'm just taking a look at villager count. I should be looking. Well, villager count population is the same. The Spanish player was actually up the whole time. I'm wondering if I misread one of the graphs at some point. But
The villager population up until 5 minutes was in favor of France, but it is I mean, sorry, it was in favor of Spain. But you have to keep in mind that for France, the villager population isn't super accurate. You actually are stronger than that. So up until Spain was losing some villagers about 15 minutes, France would definitely had a lead in that aspect. Resources gathered though was pretty even. Spain fell behind shortly before hitting age 3 up until 10 minutes. So about a 4-minute gap there. He was a little bit behind, but then from then on it was pretty even for resources gathered.
Yeah, I think the tell of the tape here for this game is just the military population. That big fight at around 14 minutes where the Spanish players actually had less army but was able to win that fight pretty hard by just
he did an
everything
excellent job. Flontier did an excellent job using his rods well. I'm pretty sure I saw the I hope people correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure I saw the rods pulled, which is amazing if you did so. Moving the rods into a fight super fast like that is really, really good.
Definitely. Anytime you can increase the speed of your units, I recommend doing that.
Yeah. So. All right. I'm gonna get out and go ahead and I'll just let y'all play a game without me, I guess, or at least test it. We'll see how it goes.
Okay. Yeah. I think we'll just do a quick game with some cheats with just me and see if the lag changes at all. You can hang in the chat for a while, I guess, if you want.
Yeah, I'll do so. I'll watch you on the stream a little bit and give my delayed input, if you will.
Yeah,
if it
sure.
helps.
I mean, I just hang tight until the lag test. If there's no difference, I don't know. I never really know quite what to do in this scenario, right? There's no, I guess, protocol. Ultimately, we just want the players to have the best competitive experience that they can, while at the same time we want to bring you guys the games from the events of the ESOC hosts. So
Yeah, I have absolutely no problem though improving the quality of the stream by sitting out. So if it does improve it, then I'm more than happy to do that. It's all for the Age of Empires 3 community, right? What's best for them.
yeah, that's right. So I'll ask them if they want lag test or just go with one. Okay, so I think we'll just. okay, boss says. So I think both players are just going to skip the lag test and we'll just go with one caster. So
Okay.
at this point, I think I'll just solo cast it because it's hard with that 2-minute delay.
Yeah, that's fine.
And whatnot. So, but hey, I
Well,
definitely appreciate you coming to help me on, and it was a pleasure to cast with you the games that we could.
yeah, I appreciate it. That was an excellent game 1. Age 2, I like seeing the rods a lot. I mean, game 2, I like seeing the rods a lot. I hope y'all enjoyed that in the chat, and well, I'll see you again. Yeah, you guys have a good one.
Right on. Okay, so looks like it's just me now, but I've solo casted before. Hopefully, you guys can put up with my voice for a few more games. And the third map is going to be Bering Strait. So both players have settled on Russia versus India matchup, and this is something that we've seen quite a few times in past tournaments, most notably I think during the New World Championship with our desert was a recurring map. Sort of low resource map control dependent, and we see this matchup quite a lot. I think general consensus used to be that India wins it, but they have to struggle to hold Russia's early push, and then they can use their technology advantage in H2 with skirmishers, the sort of 3-unit composition to beat out Russia. That being said, we do see Russia win this matchup a lot. I think it's easier said than done for the India player, and there have been some slight nerfs to India in regards to the Ottoman consulate and the British consulate HP boost, whereas Russia remains practically unchanged. So this map is one of the new maps made by Vividly Plain, if I'm not mistaken. It's sort of like Siberia, but the town centers are a lot closer. There are less trading posts, and you don't have that starting outpost and base, but there are a lot of wood treasures. So 85 wood is being immediately scouted by Flontier. And there are also a lot of small tier 1 wood treasures, which, as I say that, I don't spot them. Here we go. 40 wood being worked on by the only boss. Another 80 wood right there. 2 more. 40 wood, both on Flontier's side of the map. And unfortunately, Flontier kind of got the wrong side of the map to scout first. However, 85 wood is not going to be a bad pickup by any means. So now that we know kind of the lay of the land where the treasures are, I'm going to turn Fog of War back on. And 40 wood being picked up by the only boss. He didn't scout that 90 wood treasure here, but it's alright. Alright for the time being. So, alright. Early market for the Russia player. Now this is interesting, something you don't see very often, but I think because he got so much wood, he feels comfortable building that, and going to pick up 45 coin after he's already researched hunting dogs, though. So it's not going to help speed up his hunting dogs, but it's going to be nice in transition anyways. And Hippie Dev just subscribed to ESOC. Thank you, Hippie. Appreciate your support with Twitch Prime, attaboy. And okay, 80 wood is actually going to be picked up by the Indian player. And pretty standard things coming on. Distributivism shipped for the Russian player, and we have a bit of a contention here between this last remaining 40 wood. I think one of the last wood treasures on the map. the one Indian elephant is a little low hit points, and the crack shot does recharge for the only boss. It's going to pick that up uncontested. So if we look at summary for H1, boss gets 40 wood, 40 wood, 40 wood, 40 wood. So what is that, 120 wood? And Flontier gets the 2 large wood treasures, though, right? Gets 165. So all in all, actually, things were pretty even between the two. 2 villagers going forward for what I expect to be a blockhouse. So one of the things I do want to point out about this map, if we turn Fog of War off, is that the coin mine distribution is actually kind of well, it's symmetrical if the line of symmetry is this trading post, but for each player it sort of spawns north and south of their TCs respectively. So controlling this part of the map, I think, is really important after your first in-base coin mine runs out, which is only silver mine, only it's 2,000 coins. So I guess what I'm trying to say is that map control can become a win condition for the Russian player on this particular map. We'll have to see exactly how it all plays out. Hunts are a little bit more dispersed than the coin mines, but the coin mines are the one map control, I think, dependent resource rather than anything else. So shipment sent, let's look at text completed. Got hunting dogs, nothing else for the Russian player. And a market being laid down, a couple of wall segments, and a very defensive agrifort. This agrifort doesn't have to be placed within town center firing range as if you're playing versus Aztec, because it feels like Russia doesn't really have super high siege units like the Puma Spearmen. So I think this is a fine position for the agrifort. Indian players continuing to herd in some of their hunts. Both players are aging up at pretty much the same time, so it's a nice age up time for India, which is sped up by him getting 160 wood in transition. I actually was watching Azamp play India on this map when he was streaming, and he managed to click up with India to the second age at 155. He started building his wonder at 155, so you can get some insane age times on this map with India, with the starting wood treasures. So, excuse me, Steel Traps has been researched by the Russian player, and he shipped 5 Cossacks. So this tells me that he's going to delay his 5 Musketeer batch, and actually he doesn't have Musketeers in queue at all. He's got 10 Strelets, which is just popped out of the blockhouse. And he's unfortunately engaging before those Strelets could come in and pick off these Sepoys. So this is actually a really nice trade for Flontier. And these high HP elephants are also doing a number on these Russian units. And 3 Cossacks are alive, but very low HP, blocking with the villagers. Very nice punching here, and even calling the Halbman. It's just for safety. I don't think he needed to do that, but if he can get a snare on, these Gurkhas do outrain the Strelets, can maybe get some good DPS off, and this lone center is going to pick off another Strelet. So this is a really nice hold for the Indian player. It feels like when you play Russian this matchup, you have to trade off your units maybe a little bit more efficiently than that, but another 10 Strelets come out, so the Indian player is not in any position to really push this position anytime soon. Laying down a consulate in his base. 4 Cossacks now as well, so the only boss is really going all in here. At least a very high rush build, and 5 Gurkhas coming out. So a nice wall segment here to try to control this. He's trying to block with some villagers. This is a really nice pocket for him, but unfortunately the Cossacks could just get in there and try to punch as much with the villagers as he can. They don't have Vill HP or attack yet. The Gurkhas are on the Strelets. The Agrifort is doing damage. Trying to maybe pull back a couple of these low HP Vills, but maybe just being a little bit late, losing a few. And 300 export comes in. So this whole time, this was actually a really nice 4 Cossack timing for the only boss, because this consulate defense was not up yet for Flontier. So I'm curious to see what he's going to ally with. I expect to see the auto allies in here, but I mean, let's just look at units lost. I think another villager is going to be scouted. Already 3 villagers down for Flontier. And with all this idle time, Russia seems to be in a pretty good spot, I would think. Continuing Strellet production, did mix in a batch of 5 musketeers, but really there's no stable down yet for the Indian player, so he doesn't have to be too afraid of cavalry. I mean, India can ship 4 SOARs and research the 3 Gardner Hussars from the consulate, but in the meantime, I think the only boss is pretty safe. Adding in a second blockhouse, trying to cement his fortified position here. Training a little bit more musketeers, and going in for round 2 or 3 here now. These villagers still not upgraded with that HP and attack upgrade. It's, you know, a little unfortunate for Asian civilizations that they don't have the option to split the boost to their villagers' hit points and attack. Instead, it's combined into one tech, which is a little bit more expensive than just Greatcoat is, for a little bit less utility, I guess you could say. Less usefulness. I'm just going to take a look at the deck for both players. There's no Colonial Militia for the Indian player, but he does have 10 Tiger Claws in deck. That's nice, picking up a free 45 XP there. And 4 SOARs are out for the Indian player, but it's a bit late, maybe. And gosh, look at the range of this Agra Fort though, with the Ottoman consulate. It has 26 range now, which is as much as a falconet, so kind of a pain in the butt. And honestly, this thing does a lot of damage. I think players like H2O back in the day called it glorified outpost, but it's really doing a lot of work with this very large circumference of defense. And the Strelets and Musketeers are completely out of position. These Strelets are going to be basically all cleaned up as they path the complete opposite sides of the base. And yeah, Boss, I think, is a little frustrated with that. Gurkha's popping out to get some pot shots on the Musketeers, so kind of a really nice mini trade the past 30 seconds for the Indian player. I mean, this Agra Fort continues to pick off Strelets. Only 72 hit points, right? No Boyars shipped yet. So, you know, these are the tools that allow India to hold the aggressive Russian pressure, but you have to wonder if he hasn't sacrificed too much economy to do that. Yeah, if we look at units lost, I mean, 27 Strelets and 9 Cossacks, 8 Musketeers for about 10 Gurkhas and a handful of Minutemen. And 5 villagers, right? That's kind of the important one there. Continuing to put pressure on these resources, but, you know, I think he's really got to figure out where he's hunting. Because if he can just pick off some units here, I think he's in a really good position, but gonna go for the consulate instead, which is fine choice as well, because this does represent a large, well, a significant advantage for the Indian player and a good investment of his resources. But, you know, perhaps he isn't confident enough to push down here yet, but he's got five Cossacks out, might be able to represent some raiding potential here. It means he's built a stable somewhere in base, and I think waiting to go for this 80 coin. He's going to do it right now. It's very, very nice when you can stay actively treasuring at 11 minutes, pick up 80 coin. That's still, I mean, that's significant. It's half of a Cossack, so I really like that play. And yeah, this is what I was saying kind of before the game began. I feel like Russia can just contain here, and that's sort of their win condition. The Cossacks are keeping an eye on this hunt. The military's keeping an eye on this hunt. And there's really just not enough stuff out for the Indian player. However, he does have the skirm advantage here. These Gurkhas are a lot better than the Strelets, and they do outrange them by 4 range, which is pretty significant. And even these Cossacks were maybe going to get caught, but actually get out in time, which is probably good for Flontier because there are 5 more Cossacks coming. And I think the next card for the only boss is without a doubt going to be Boyars. He's got a lot of these Cossacks and Strela units, which really benefit from that card that is shipped just now. One of the best upgrades in the game. Attack and hit points increased by 15% for both Strelets and Cossacks. And now these units are very, very cost efficient, and India is continuing to run out of resources in base. As I say that, his starting mine is gone. And this is his second mine. There's just no other choice. This mine is way too far. That gold mine of 5,000, and it's almost like the only boss smells it, and he's moving in to just completely shut this down. And I mean, what do you do? What do you do here is Flontier. You ship 5 Sepoys and you right-click your villagers in? I don't know. Hope to win this fight. Let's look at units in queue. Does he have any Sowars? He's got Zambarak, so maybe he wants to get some Zambaraks out here. The pathing is hard for the only bots with these trees, but the Cossacks do manage to slink right in there and actually get some good volleys off. Strelets and Musketeers just firing away in the back, and I think that this is just too much stuff for the Russian player, and I think Flontier is not going to be able to hold this, especially with no access to resources. And there he goes, calls GG. So the only boss is scoring his first win of the series so far. Bringing it up to 1-2. So he is still behind, but there is potential if he wins the next 2 games to bring a 3-2 victory back. So looks like the player said that the lag was a little better that game, which is good. Less lag is good because lag is bad. And yeah, this was just kind of tough defense for Flontier. I'm not an India player, so perhaps my eye wasn't as focused or as keen on what he could have done to improve if he was a little slow or what, or just a little sloppy. But he lost 3 early villagers around 7 minutes and continued to sort of trickle and lose villagers the whole time. Boss did, I mean, that's standard Russia for Boss. It's one of his main civs, but he plays it tight. He's got it packed down. He's got the fundamentals down, I guess I should say. Researched early steel traps. His villager production is really, really pretty solid for Russia. He's got a little bit of a gap there, but for shipping 5 Cossack, 4 Cossack, that's pretty solid build. I guess it's nice because he did get a lot of wood treasures, but so did the India player. And I think this matchup is just a lot easier to play from the Russian side, and I think that that's why we see them win so many of these games and tournaments, even though they aren't quote-unquote maybe the preferred civ at the highest level of play. But it's a lot easier to say than do when you're playing as India in that matchup. Close my doors and windows, can hear your family outside, says Harrison in the Discord. I will close my window. Now I miss that sweet, sweet fresh air, but oh well. That was not my family, those were my neighbors. My neighbors have kids, and kids are loud. Next map is Dhaka. Flontier locks Spain. I think Portuguese is one of the best civs on this map. But I don't know if Boss plays ports. This is, I will remind them, civs have reset correct because Flontier has already played Spain. So Boss could go with Russia again if he wants to. And boss is thinking maybe he's chatting with his cohorts from SKG. Oh wait, he's in the bigs. My bad. Boss is bigs. Flontier is SKG. Wait, Flontier is in the clan Plop. When was this clan made? 227? Okay. I guess this Plop meme was around longer than I thought. I guess, discovered it today in the Twitch chat. And the earlier series, Haza versus Lucas, which I'm not sure I can recommend anyone watch that, but the last game was pretty good, I guess. The Plop strat was pretty solid. Spain Pain Train. Spam stuck in the chat. Over and over. The Civ just keeps getting buffed, right? Off the rails soon enough. See, someone in chat says Daka, never seen this map. Daka is a new map made by Vividly Plain, one of our map makers. It looks about how the minimap looks here, so we'll explore it more once we get in game. But Boss is choosing to stick with his main squeeze, Russia. And why not? After last game, I think that was a pretty convincing victory. Just wants to do the Russia things. Feels confident and comfortable doing that. Spain might struggle to defend here. The rush distance is super short between these two town centers. And it's not as if Spain can, you know, their H2 I think leaves something to be desired. They can go ATP on this map, but the rush distance is so small, I don't know if it really pays off. And I think he's going to do some thinking to himself. It's important to go into game with the general game plan in mind, and you can always adapt in game based on what you see, but having a structure, an outline, I guess a skeleton is generally beneficial, but what do I know? So all right, here we go, clicking in. This is game number 4 in our Play All 5 series. This is the ESOC Premier League Season 2 match between Flontier from SKG and theonlybaus from the Hudson Bay Bigs. Currently, Flontier leads the series 2-1, but Boss, coming off hot from a commanding, convincing victory with Russia in the previous map, is choosing to stick with the Civ after Civs have reset here on game number 4. So it looks like it is a food start, and both players are gonna get out there and try to find some treasures. Immediately 40 wood being spotted by Flontier is gonna be nice for him to pick up, and you know, pretty much all of the treasures on this map are tier 1, except for you get, I think, a nice wood treasure here and there. So we have 80 wood spawning in the east of the map, 80 coin in the west, and what about up north here? Anything up north? Not really. 40 coin, a couple yaks, a few yaks, I guess. 4 yaks, to be correct. But this is a relatively new map that is in the pool for this tournament. So it's interesting. I don't think there are a lot of maps quite like it. You have 4 TP trading post. You have water with 4 whales in it. Decent amount of fish. And you have these sort of interspersed ponds kind of all around the map, which are interesting because you do start with a home city water flag, and you can choose that to any one of these ponds if you so choose. Now the thing about putting boats in pawns is that there's really nowhere for them to run if the opponent has a culverin or something like that. So it's kind of risky, but it can be a big power play. These shallow rivers do sort of represent short, wallable chokes. So even though that the rush distance between these two town centers is super close, you can wall it off if you want to invest the resources and walking time into that. And there are also a ton of berries on this map, more than most. So you have a starting hunt, and then you get 1, 2, 3 more. But after that, the only resources on the map are these berries up top, but there are tons of them. 4 clusters, or 5. 6 clusters, all right? I've been trying to learn how to count recently. And what's interesting is that one of these natives, I don't know which one. All right, it must be this native that increases gather rate of berry bushes by 40%. So that becomes almost comparable to skill traps. It's a little bit better than hunting dogs. So later on, if games go to the late stage, if you have control of this top island and control over all this food, with that 40% berry upgrade gather rates, you don't really have to worry about running out of resources that your opponent might, which is why I think that this is a great map for Portuguese. You have town centers that can help control the ponds, the water. You can, potentially send ATP and control half of the trading line. You can send town centers up north and control this part of the map. And Portuguese use a lot of food to train all their villagers and military. So having control of the berries, I think, is especially beneficial for them. But, not much going on in Age 1. Like I said, pretty minimal treasures. The only boss did get the 80 wood, and Flontier got the 80 coin. So they split the two second-tier treasures between themselves. And just doing some herding. Boss is actually preemptively sending villagers up north. I think he's a little maybe paranoid that this was going to get walled off, or that the forward-based villagers would just be scouted, which they would be with this herding villager. And now this is a much more accessible angle to attack Flontier's base. But it does get immediately scouted by Flontier. Zuda is gifted a sub to Victor Sweet. How nice. Those two are so cute together. Great pals. Good source of memes. Love to see him. Love to see the gifted sub from Zuda to Sweet. And wow. Boss is walling himself. It's kind of interesting. I think he just wants, I think it's just a solid strategy. It doesn't really mean he's like booming or not going to rush, but I think if you can spend 20 wood and a handful of villager seconds just to cut off the only alternative route of your opponent to your own base, I think that's just a good idea. Meanwhile, what's Flontier doing? Tower age up, just standard stuff, naked FF, and he did collect, I think, pretty much all of the yaks on the map, except for one. So his FF, I think, is going to be very speedy, especially because he also got that 80 coin treasure right on the west of the map. And I'm curious to see when he clicks up, because I'm sure it will be soon. And it's like the only boss kind of knows this. He knows that Flontier's got a really good fast FF with this tower in base, and the hero can train infinite dogs, etc. He says, well, hey, my 5 caustic shipment probably isn't going to do enough damage to warrant sending it first. I'm just going to send 700 wood. And now he's trying to take control of the TP line. Spain did not go for ATP, so this trading post will be much easier to siege down as the 5 Rusketeers come out. So let me put shipment sent on here. Apologies for that, and then let's do units in queue. So the Spanish player is already up. I think they probably clicked up at around 5:45. It's pretty slick. Just doing standard stuff, shipping 700 wood next. Meanwhile, I think that boss just wants to play this out in Age 2 with 4 TP Stagecoach. You almost have to wonder if that's too slow, though, versus Spain. I don't know. I'm curious to see what Spain's next shipment is, if he's still choosing to go for 5 villagers or if he wants to hang on to it. 8 pike, so neither of the above. But shipping units in transition does tell me that he wants to be much more aggressive than the last time we watched him play Spain. And I think that this is going to be pretty good because we just see Stagecoach has been researched for the Russian player. He's just now finishing his 3rd TP. He's just now killing off the trading post for Spain. And meanwhile, in any second now, Spain is just going to be up. And actually, this is an interesting decision. He doesn't necessarily want to pressure the blockhouse right away. He's just going to raise down this 1500 HP wall and go straight for the throat of the Russian player. Oh, and he aged with the Caravel. That's very nice. I like this a lot. It's going to give him a lot of influence over this narrow choke part of the map. However, Boss's blockhouse is strategically placed to provide some sort of cover if that Caravel were to venture too far north. But I don't think Flontier is interested in what's going on up here at all. I think he says, I've got tempo on you. I have every advantage right now to just start sieging your stuff. And 10 Rusketeers are a little bit misplaced here. And actually, if they want to join the fight, they either have to walk all the way around or just get decimated by these Caravels, and 2 Falcons popping out. It's going to at least pick off one of them. But Flontier going back. And I'm not quite sure why, because there's not really a whole lot in Boss's base to send him away, to deter him. And still we're just congregating Russian units up north here, but they're kind of not in the game. They're sort of not playing. And when you have this sort of pressure in your base with 2 falconets, pikes, musketeers, etc., it's important. And 2 caravels are now in the pond as well, actually picking off Flontier's H-up caravel totally before just getting away before the 2 falconets can finish him off. So both pretty low HP. He's going to have to build a dock if he wants to heal those. But a nice sort of counterpunch to the advantage that Flontier had with those pawns in this base. And oh, that's unfortunate. But, so a bit of a false fire there from the falconets, but then they're able to get off a couple shots on the musketeers, do some damage. So Boss is sort of surviving this. I mean, I feel like Spain really wanted to be fast and quick, and they were, but hasn't done so much as even kill the market in Boss's base. The presence of these musketeers and the 2 caravels have been enough to keep the Spanish army in limbo and not really fully commit to do the damage that it probably wants to do. And now all of the Russian units are coming back home to, I think, finally defend this pressure. But it's going to be tough. Looks like he's just going Musketeers Cossacks. He's got a lot of units, but it's roughly equal with the Spanish player. Note that the Spanish has Colonial Pikes and Colonial Musketeers. So they aren't the strongest, but they do have very strong Lancers and, of course, this powerful 2 Falconet shipment. And continuing to just train Colonial Musketeers for Flontier. So Boss will have a shipment available to him any moment now. We'll have to see if he chooses to wait for that shipment to arrive or if it's go time earlier. I think that this is go time. He's called Minutemen and he's trying to right click with all of his units. He's got a lot of Cossacks. I'd like to see him split them up and bring them around. Maybe a little bit hesitant here, popping bills but bringing them back. And a frigate now in the pond for Flontier. This is definitely going to be go time. Cossacks trying to get on top of the falconets, but really good positioning for the musketeers and the pikemen. Both falconets are still alive, doing tons of damage, not necessarily past the musketeers though. Now they're shooting volleys on the musketeers, but all these Cossacks are basically going to die. There's still a falconet left. These war dogs are doing tons of damage, and that was a really, really nice fight for Flontier in this frigate, cleaning up both caravels in the pond. And the only boss is definitely on his back foot here. Definitely. However, he still does have 4 TP stagecoach, and he's up in regular villager population. So it's not as if this is unwinnable. However, I just felt that that fight went really, really well for the Spanish player. Flontier, interestingly enough, is just gathering berries instead of extending to these hunts up here. Perhaps a couple reasons. Perhaps he's afraid of getting raided by Cossacks. Or perhaps he felt that his timing was so imminent that he couldn't afford the villager seconds to walk on these hunts. He wanted all the villager seconds to be on the berries right away to maximize his push here at that time. 13 Starlets come out for the only boss, continuing to train musketeers and Cossacks. But this frigate, I mean, how do you kill this frigate in Age 2? Unless you can sneak up a second blockhouse up here. But you really just can't commit under this beast of a unit. It represents so much DPS, and it represents a garrison point that the Spanish army can retreat into. Meanwhile, it's just slow rolling with this lone falconet. That was such a disappointing fight for Boss. I felt like he lost so many units. You know, how do you not kill 2 falconets? But perhaps that's more of a testament to Flontier's just unit positioning and protecting those falcons really well. Trying to split up his Cossacks here. Not a whole lot of units for the Spanish player, and I think Flontier knows that, and he's going right back to his frigate. Wants to escape without losing too much, especially this falconet, I think. Just getting in range of this frigate, doing a lot of damage, keeping that falconet nice and safe. 9 Rodileos are shipped now, but losing some stuff here. I mean, I don't know. It's kind of tricky micro for both players, and it's tough to say who's winning. Things are pretty even except for Spain is in Age 3. Has his frigate. Russia has these TPs. How are these berries doing? Still a lot of berries left. That stable is going to go down. Boss has a lot of resources that he's not spending. I don't know if he's trying to age, waiting on 600 coin. Oh, he's already shipped 600 coin. So I think he's just slightly mismacroed now. This falconet does not have a lot of HP. I mean, you can maybe just right-click that all your infantry. There's not a whole lot of stuff here for the Spanish player. You know, I think I would rather be Russia here. Yeah, I'm gonna say so. But he's continuing to be indecisive, and I think if you're just trying to pick off a Rodolero or so, you're taking too much damage from this falconet. But finally, it's gonna go down, and I think this is not go time, but it's go time to kill the falcon. Now he's just gonna kind of kite back. These Lancers are very good versus this Russian H2 army, but there's just not enough of them, and the Spanish economy is not all that great, never having shipped 5 bills, gathering on these berries all the time. It's got just a batch of 4 Lancers out, although which is respectable. And I guess, you know, I haven't looked at the scores in a while, but the Spanish player is up about 15 score, and now starting to pressure these TPs. And I think that this trading post is definitely in range of this frigate. I don't know about this one because the blockhouse might shoot it, but gosh, I don't know. I think that this frigate is such an advantage. I think it represents so much control in this map, especially since Boss can no longer ship any sort of warship to defend it or to contest it. But I think that this trading post can definitely be killed for the Spanish player. And Boss is kind of running out of resources now. I guess he does still have his berry bushes in base, but if this trading post goes down, you know, these 7 villagers, 9 villagers are vulnerable. The raiding lancers are momentarily going to be pushed back by these idle Cossacks. But interesting game. Still no Boars sent yet for the only boss. He's not really training Strelets, and he's not training a whole lot of Cossacks. I think he's momentarily stopped Cossack production, although he does have 5 in queue. I think I'd really like to see Boyars next, if not instead of 700 food. And Flontier has shipped Caballeros, which adds an additional 1 multiplier on his lancers against heavy infantry, and also adds 1 to their maximum range. So these lancers are now very good versus these Rusketeers, even more so than before. And there aren't a whole lot of Cossacks to deal with it, but just tons of Russian units. 90 to 46 population. But the problem is that Russia can't ever engage because of this frigate. So I just don't know. One lone Rodolero kind of getting some scouting done. And see, I mean, just look at this. All the units pop in there, just kind of poop out on this side, and just like that, the Spanish player successfully defended this base, but he really needs to special attack on the Rusketeers here. And there it is. Only picking up 1. Surprising. Minutemen come out. The only boss is nicely kiting kind of outside the range of the frigate, and that's going to be enough. I think that was sort of the strategical maneuvering he needed to do in order to bring this game back into his favor. Boyar is now being shipped. These Cossacks are much stronger. Cav combat comes in kind of at the wrong time for Flontier there. Most of his cav was dead, and now there's just too many units. Too many units. He doesn't even have to worry about this frigate anymore. He can just right-click the TC if he wants, which I think he should do. But once I get a couple of free kills on these units, I suppose. No, he's just going to start shooting the frigate. Doesn't even care. And there's the delete from Flontier. So the only boss evening things up to 2-2, bringing it down to Decisive, game number 5. And showing us why Russia is his main squeeze. It's giving anxiety, you might say. Let's just look at the tape. Boss losing some bills to that scary early timing. Actually chose to skip villager production for a while, I think, just to hold. That was around the time he skipped villagers, was able to muster more military. And then I think, 4TP Stagecoach just eventually outperforms the Spanish FF, where they don't ship 5 bills, no Spanish gold, anything like that. So, well played by both players, I think, but sort of the tried and true Stagecoach boom paying off. I really got to drink a lot of water when I solo cast. Don't want to join too early. So this is a very smart thing I've done, which I'm very proud of, and I want to share my knowledge. I have a 2-liter soda bottle that all the soda's gone from, and I just rinsed it out and now use it as my water bottle. And it's so convenient to have this giant water bottle with you all the time. It feels like I'm never thirsty. Because, sometimes I feel like you get thirsty and you're just really lazy and you're like, eh. Or your throat scratches or something. Even if you're not thirsty, you should probably just be drinking water throughout the day, but it's hard, you know, it's easy to do that if you just have a giant 2-liter bottle with you all the time. Same with when I go to bed. Sometimes if I have just like a glass of water, I'll run out of water in the middle of the night because I get a really dry throat sometimes. But I never do with this giant 2-liter Diet Coke bottle filled with water. The only thing is it's a little inconvenient or awkward. I guess it's awkward to be the better word to use, because there's not a lot of structural integrity and it's just kind of very big. Sometimes the plastic pops in and out and kind of makes a loud noise. But all in all, I recommend having a very large water container that you can tug around. Alright, so boss locking France. We are on high plains, and unfortunately Flontier cannot play Spain again. Maybe it would have been strategic to save Spain for this map, but perhaps he's got something up his sleeve. Maybe he wants to play, I don't know, Portuguese, or heck, just play Brit. I haven't seen much Brit lately. Kind of sad. It's my favorite civ. Fighting Frenchman says gross. What's gross? It's a big plastic bottle filled with water. Oh, duck is what's that chemical? The chemical that's in a lot of plastics, and yeah, it might be a carcinogen. Whoops. Plastic chemical. BPA. BPA is what. All right. So my next order of business is to find a 2-liter bottle that's BPA-free plastic. Sounds expensive, but if Duck says don't do it, then maybe I won't. I have a real water bottle. I have several water bottles, but they're only as big as a water bottle, which is, you know, I don't know, 16 ounces. This is 25. No, sorry, this is 67 ounces. Like 2 of these a day, that's all my water needs.
Yes.
Oh, sorry. Look, listen to me rambling about water. Delaying this great Game 5 to bring to you guys. The thing is, okay, I'm reading the chat. Fighting Frenchman, I also bring 2 glasses. I'll fill them both up, and I will drink them both in the night still. Maybe my water needs are just way higher than any normal person. So you guys just wouldn't get it, you know? Joker meme, you just wouldn't get it. Alright, Game 5. We do have Flontier in the color blue. Let me go over there. Playing Portuguese in the southwest of the map, and in the northeast is theonlybaus in the color red, playing France. It is a wood start, so I expect to see perhaps both players going for a trading post, or maybe if the Portuguese want to send that powerful advanced trading post card, they will save their wood in order to spend it more efficiently after that card is in. I do get a little kind of upset. Well, not upset. I get a little annoyed when players play France, but their color is red, and then the other player's blue, because it confuses me. But I'll try not to get confused. Flontier working away on 70 coin. He does still have 100 wood on the floor. He's going to build a house, and I think with 70 coin, he could go for a market if he wants to. But what this tells me, saving this wood, is that he's going to go ATP for sure. Meanwhile, Boss is going to pick up 110 food, nerfed from 140, which is nice, but still a very good treasure for what's essentially 2 coyotes and a crack shot. Totally worth it. Meanwhile, anything else good on the map? You got 1 CDB guarded by 3 grizzlies, 2 straight sheep. It's kind of meh. 50 wood, decent, and then sort of a mid-tier or a mid-game treasure, high-tier, 320 XP. And Flontier is going to be working away at 80 food as well, and Baus scouts that. So let me put on Fog of War here, get a bit more dynamic action going on. Sort of messed up the kiting there, and it's really frustrating when you're trying to steal a treasure and your opponent messes up the kiting. Because, I mean, now look at this. He's just scouted the other explorer, you know, and neither player is going to get this treasure now. But, oh, sight. Baus has decided to aggro it, so nice. Actually, that, yeah, I mean, that's just a really nice decision. He's got his native scout here zoning off the Portuguese explorer. Quick crack shot and a few swashbuckler swipes, and that treasure's gone. But Flontier similarly just says, hey, you're over there, I'm over here, I'm going to get this 50 wood then in return. And he will pick it up, but looks like he's going to get snared for his trouble. However, he's not too far away from his TC, and he should be able to go back. Now, if we look at shipments sent, ATP is in play. So hit points is actually a very valuable commodity on this Portuguese explorer. And I don't know if it was really worth going for 50 wood, rather than just piecing out, starting to spam trading posts and whatnot. But he will escape, and I think he's going to survive H1. And got a couple of damage off. Got some damage off on this Nat Scout. But yes. Yes. Well, the map spawned fair. But a bit farther out, I suppose. These hunts walk. However, it's nice aging up with the Freetown Center. Can place out on some resources you might need. So the French player has, I think, accurately discerned that Portuguese are going to advance trading posts, and so he's chosen to build a second trading post of his own. Meanwhile, no villagers are out to build a trading post for the Portuguese player, so France could actually maybe, if he were so bold, build a third trading post, and I think he just might. I think he's poised to do that. He's going to get his Age of Wood soon, but no, I think upon reconsideration he doesn't want to spend another 200 wood on that. And a barracks coming down for Flontier, so he wants to, I think, apply some pressure to these French trading posts. And this is sort of, I guess, a critical moment in the game. What does France do? Do you naked FF, try to apply pressure after Portuguese has sort of spent some resources in H2 to take down your own trading post? Do you stay H2 and just try to contest the line on the whole? Tough decision. Right now, I mean, I think Ports would really like to have a third TP for their troubles, shipping this ATP card. And that hero is going to escape with 36 HP. Close. And 700 coin is the first card for the Portuguese player. It's got 5 Musketeers in queue and an in-base stable for the only boss. And I think he wants to... Oh, he's going to lose his Explorer, right? This is really ballsy. Oh, he's just going to barely lose it. And now he's got 120 wood in this TP Foundation that he can't build without sending a villager over there. It's going to be really tough for him. Meanwhile, these 5 SRs that are in queue for boss, I think they're going to be a pain in the butt for Flontier, because he lacks the mobility to sort of counter these raids. It's going to be investing a lot of resources in sieging these trading posts. And as long as there are units sieging this trading post, boss kind of knows that there are no units defending the raids. And he's got a few villagers that are kind of out here, and he's going to slip right in here between all this line of sight. And I see, oh, okay, very, very fast reaction time from Flontier. That was quite nice. Not going to lose a villager yet, but that is a lot of idle time there. One still here, doesn't quite spot it, so that's just unfortunate. And so now he's sending musketeers back, but they're so slow, and he's got this villager that's really precarious out here, but boss is going back in instead. Flontier will be able to defend this for the time being. And going to apply some counter pressure of his own. I think possibly might be able to scout that CDB over there. That villager is going to live for the time being. And very nice pickup to get the native scout. So doesn't get the CDB, but gets the native scout. Perhaps that's a pretty even trade after all. Meanwhile, he's gonna, oh, this is nice. Gonna res his hero right there, and Flontier is gonna lose a villager and doesn't get the treasure. Oh, that's so tough. Meanwhile, he's only got 2 trading posts. Oh, trying to block that CDB from going in. Let's just take a quick look at units lost. 2 villagers for the Portuguese player. We had that 1 villager getting the treasure and the one in base. All 5 SRs still alive, just barely. But I mean, as I was saying, finally the 3rd trading post is going down for Flontier. But gosh, look at this cheeky little 1 huss. Kind of sniffs it, kind of smells it. What's going on? He's gonna pick him off before it even goes up. It's not a big deal because the villager can just finish this, but it is 45 XP, and where's the Travois? Is it going to deny him a pass? It won't deny him a pass, but it's just kind of it's just a nice play, and it's a large annoyance for his opponent. Meanwhile, slapping down some 2 barracks in base, couple of houses, just trying to get some infrastructure up because he is in the 3rd age. Meanwhile, Flontier's got a while to go for that. It's just shipped 700 food. Minutemen calling. Gonna try to maybe trap these musketeers. What? Did you see that? Did you see that melee attack? Was that? I might have to look at that again. I thought that looked like a 12 range melee attack, but perhaps it was in shooting animation. Stagecoach is researched, but again, we're at 9 minutes into the game. France is H3. Oh, does he see it? Does he see it? He sees it. Very nice job by Flontier. Also nice by Boss to come back right away as well. But as I was saying, we're 9 minutes. France's H3 port is now just aging, and there's only 3 to 1 TP advantage for the Portuguese player. Where, I mean, France only made 5 musketeers in H2. It just feels like overall H2 went much better for France. However, as the game continues to go, the Portuguese will continue to scale pretty well. These 3 Huss are going to find this villager. Can't run away. But the ecos, after this villager dies, will be dead even. But the militaries, for the time being, are in favor of the French player. However, 6 of those units are 0 HP Minutemen. And this hero can't build this TP. And these musketeers are just going to go siege the trading post in the north of the map. So this is kind of a crucial point for France, or sorry, for Portuguese, is can they weather the storm of the French attack before, you know, to allow themselves enough time for their larger economy to work into their favor, for this stagecoach TP to work in their favor. At the moment, the only units for the Portuguese player are just these 8 musketeers, which are admittedly going to buy him a lot of time. I don't think he's going to kill the trading post. He's going to try to run away. He can get some shots off on these Hussars if he's paying attention. Going to go into melee. Pretty decent. yeah, I mean, this is just a lot of time. These 5 Cassadors, I don't know if he wanted to engage yet. Oh, but he's got 8 shift and now 5 Dragoons, so this is totally fine for him. Musketeers are just acting as tanks right now. And close one, close fight, I think about even. And Skirmishers and Cassadors. Let's just go over to all units. AU. Yeah, 14 to 12, pretty standard there. I'd really like to see this Bison hunt herded in a bit. The trading post. It's being built now by the only boss. Shipped 1,000 wood as his first card in H3. So his mass is going to be pretty strong here. And 3 to 2 TP advantage for the Portuguese player, but I think that that's a pretty fine spot for France. But again, you have to make sure that you don't let things get too out of hand for Port, as they are producing villagers from 3 town centers and you are just building your second. You know, one of the things, I don't know if it shows up in this little summary here. It does. Spyglass does show up. So Flontier is using Spyglass pretty regularly. Spyglass cooldown was decreased in the most recent EP update from 120 seconds to 90. So it's actually really fun to play this port because you just are kind of spamming you know, map hacks every minute and a half. And that feels good. So I'm happy to see him doing it. Mamelukes are on the floor. These 4 villagers are going to be deleted here pretty soon. Mameluke spawned up here, so not a whole lot of units to back this up, but you know, this might be a situation where Mamelukes really shine. There aren't so many units on the floor that they get picked off super easily, but there are also enough Cassadors and Dragoons in the back to provide some DPS, and there's not a whole lot of anti-cav for the French player. So I think that this should really be go time if you have perfect information, but I think Flontier is a little hesitant and maybe just wants to keep slow pushing, sieging some TPs, trying to trade off TPs, but he's got a little bit less siege than the French player. Nice Spyglass again. I wish I could see where he Spyglass. Maybe I could if I paid attention to the mini-map when he did it. And yeah, just units lost 7 villagers throughout the game for Flontier, so it's a little unfortunate, I guess. But 2 falconets now for the French player. So this is going to be really hard, I feel like, for Flontier to engage in now. But the 2 falcons are scouted pretty early. Going to just start immediately picking off this trading post. And I think that Flontier could maybe go for a counter push. You know, these falconets are slow, they're taking their time to siege this. You know where his entire army is. Looks like he's going to go do that now. I mean, imagine just right-clicking here and picking off some settlers, being active with your army around the map. It looks like that's exactly what he's going to do. That's nice of him and provide enough DPS so that he can actually one-shot these CDB with great coats on them, I should say. And that's been pretty much the game. Everyone is just fighting for this trading post. But for the first time, the advantage has tipped into the French player's favor, and he now controls 3 in favor of 2 to the Portuguese player. However, these extra town centers have given him a 53 to 47 villager lead. But it just looks like there's so many skirmishers here. 40 skirmishers as opposed to 21 Cassadors. Gonna lose some units for free though. Something's got to be done about these skirmishers, whether you add vet Huss or ship organ guns, but it's always risky to ship organ guns when your opponent has falconets because they do better in the artillery war. And France is going to try to pick up their 4th TP, and things are just maybe slipping away here from Flontier if he ever had something to grasp onto. Excuse me. I swallowed my water wrong. I wanted to say boss shift cav combat. So these cuirassiers are now much beefier. These dragoons will perform better versus these Mamelukes. And no such card for Flontier. He hasn't shipped that the equivalent dragoon combat. Yeah. It's quite a nice card. Oh, I didn't realize it was 20% for dragoons, 15% for hussars. Alright, this is go time. Sorry for having that up. Mamelukes are actually going to get pretty good position on the falconets, but these cuirassiers are right on the castors. These castors are low HP units, but these falconets, there's just nothing to block the falconets from the Mamelukes, and wow, it looks like this is a really good trade so far for Flontier. Look at this now, 102 to 59 military population. And just such a better fight for him than the Only Boss. I mean, I think Only Boss is in a good position, but when you have these big engagements that everything's been building up to for 17 minutes, just a little bit of unit positioning matters a whole lot. There's still a lot of cuirassiers being built, though. I think that those might have been scouted by the line of sight stagecoach. And these Castador units en masse are actually kind of decent at picking off cuirassiers because they have such high attack. 25 ranged attack, opposed to just 18 of skirmishers. So these beefy units like that. Oh, this is going to be a big raid, though. This is going to be a big raid. Getting those cuirassiers in position, all of these villagers are going to die. And now what does Flontier do? Military units have actually just evened up after that fight. And economies which were in favor of Flontier have also just evened up. So I feel like Flontier's got to do something, whether it's a counter push of his own or if he wants to try to trap this army and take an efficient trade. But so far he's just sort of lost 10 villagers for free, and he's not even getting a trading post for his troubles. I don't know where his hero is. It's alive here. It's alive, and he's got 200 wood. I don't know if these Mamelukes thought that they were going to go for a raid, or if they just want to check the coin mine. I think they would just check the coin mine. They're not really the best raiding units, especially because you never want to raid and then get in a fight because you're missing kind of your most important units. But Flontier's popped at 200 pop, and the Only Boss is not far behind at 180. So we got ourselves a pretty close game. It might just boil down to coin mines. Boss has no villagers on coin currently, and he's going to go for this one. So could we see a repeat of game number 1? Where people just vie over these very important coin mines. We got some lag comments. And for some reason I can't type in, because I'm up here. Don't wanna.
Yes. Are you ready?
Alright, they're gonna go. I'm gonna try to avoid like clicking Alt or I don't know, doing actions that might slow the game down. So I think that this is sort of the game deciding fight, and France really needs to do well here because their resources is coin mine. But there still are all 4 Mamelukes alive, little low HP. The cuirassiers are trying to find an angle to engage, but there are a lot of trees here, and also this town center. A Miniman can pop out at any time. Some of these Portuguese villagers are going to be falling to the skirmishers. I think just 1 or 2 though. And where are the Castadors going? Just being a little curious is all. And yeah, this does look like some unfortunate lag. How are the trades going though? I mean, I think it's pretty even. Military populations are pretty even still. The economy for kind of the first time in the game though has swung in favor of the France player, but he really needs to win this fight because or else he doesn't have any coin. He's also got 33 villagers on wood at the moment. Now it's gonna be the time to pull some of the CDB in here into this fight just to tank. They do have Greycoats, not Blunderbuss. Mameluke Falls is very important, and I feel like the French player is doing pretty well, just trying to stay at range here. The CDB tank especially well at range, and there's just not a lot of hand cab outside of these Mamelukes, which are just about dead. But these Cuirassiers are trying to get on top of these units, but there's so many Dragoons now. And a 2 organ gun shipment might actually be pretty dang good soon for Flontier. But he's stacking the shipment. He hasn't sent it. He's had the shipment for a while, and gosh, now he's losing more villagers on this coin mine and being pushed back. So you have to wonder if he sent that shipment earlier, if his 2 organ guns, couldn't he push back the French player now? And that would be such a game-swinging fight. But as a result, just losing more villagers. It's down now 56 to 75 in recalculated population. France also has a 4 TP to 1 stagecoach advantage. But ports are eking out barely somehow in the military population, 70 to 60. But I think that was sort of on account of how many villagers they lost, and that was really all Boss needed to do. He just stayed there long enough until that coin mine was all eaten, and is now going elsewhere. He's got a couple plantations, and more importantly, he stole that mine away from Flontier. His only other active mine has just run out. He still does have these 2 mines in the south of the map, and I think Boss thinks that he's on them, so he's going to click his whole army down here. But he will, well, he's just going to find these villas, and I mean, I think Boss is in a fine position right now. This is really scary for Flontier. His army is just not really in the right position. They're trying to protect these villagers. 2 organ guns come out now, and Flontier really needs to win a fight hard because France is 80 CDB, so, well, not 80 in number, but effectively 80 villagers. 2 organ guns are shipped. Going to be working on this one trading post. Has 9 HP for the time being, but don't expect that to last long. Just, I mean, tons of exposed villagers up here, but I don't know if the only boss can. It feels like he needs all of his units available now to defend this push, and once he defends it, I think he'll be in a fine spot. He's already got all of his infrastructure set up, at least the 2 plantations. That's huge. The mill right now, an arsenal being built too, but 1,000 coin being shipped by Flontier, so that's going to help supplement his gold income while these villagers are walking across the map to try to get onto these last 2 remaining coin mines. But okay, there's the epic 6 Cuirassier raid. He feels comfortable enough at home with the CDB and base to just say, I'm gonna kill all your villagers up here. And there's not much to do here. I think you just sack them and try to win this fight. Speaking of the fight, let's see what's going on. The 1 organ gun was unfortunately maybe tasking to the trading post. This is kind of a tough fight to micro for the Portuguese player. You got a lot of units at play. Finally reacting to the raid, but veteran Hussars were researched and now are getting back onto these skirmishers. Lots of CDB here trying to tank. It's just it's so close. I mean, these CDB are tanking so many Cassador shots, but these organ guns are, they are now tasking to the skirmishers. So many Cuirassiers though, killing so many vills. And these CDB are going to do a lot of damage to this organ gun. No blunderbuss needed. It's going to fall in range mode, and this is totally won by boss. Now, I don't really see any way for Flontier to come back. He's down, you know, doubled in military pop, doubled in eco. It's but it's game 5. Gotta give it your all. But it's also down 100 score. You know, I felt like there was a 30-second window where he was in a really fine spot after he won that first big fight pretty well, and he killed the Falconets kind of for free. But it seemed like Boss was just a little bit more active around the map. Got a little bit of a raid in, sort of climbed his way back in, took control of the teepees. And this has been really well played by Boss, I think, honestly. Quite impressed. Units lost. How many vills? 71 vills lost for Flontier. That's ooh. That's a lot. I recommend not losing 71 vills. 3 has popping out. Gonna sneak by, but yeah. Flontier only has 15 working villagers at the moment, and Boss is refrigeration sent. You know, 2 plantations, another mill being set up. I just don't know how he can crawl back from this. No Ronins. So that's the series. Boss is actually reverse sweeping it with a 3-2. Apparently some questions of lag. But we try to provide the best environment. We switch down to 1 caster. I'm not dropping frames, and I have pretty decent internet and pretty good history of being able to cast without lag. So it might just be this combination of 3 players. And as is the case with lag, it seems like it kind of comes in spikes, and maybe we had some more spikes this game than before. Also, I think ISPs in general just have a lot more demand wherever you are in the world because of coronavirus. But they were good games, and as a player, you know, myself, you always want to play in the most lag-free environment. Sometimes it's not possible, but you have to play anyways. And I thought this was a really excellent series, especially starting with game 1. Super scrappy, one of the scrappiest games I've seen in some time. Taking it all the way down to game number 5, tied 2-2 before we clicked in, and Boss actually bringing it back with the reverse sweep. Was down 2-0 and now takes the series 3-2. Very impressive performance by him, and also Flontier I think played very well a lot of the time too. I think these 2 players are very evenly matched, and both should be proud of their performances, even if the environments aren't exactly what they would consider ideal. Just looking at village accounts, kind of like this is a round where I think things were looking pretty good for Portuguese, but then he lost about 10 villagers to a raid, and then from then on things kind of went south as France got control of the TP line as well. But look at this fight. I mean, 16 minutes, Portuguese lost almost nothing, and France lost like 20 pop. But for some reason, France's rematch was huge. I was so surprised, like a minute later, that France equaled it out. I hadn't really been paying attention to it, so I might have to see again how he did that, because that's pretty impressive. I don't know if it's like a 1,000 coin shipment or what.